Welcome to the BIRDGANG Nation Sports Media Show. Repping the greatest team of all time. Let's go! BIRDGANG 31, he be the host with the most. We going deep, burning teams. They ain't nothing but toast. It's in your rest there. Sirianni put me in coach, running like Miles Sanders till I butt my head on the post. Touchdown! Yeah, that's coming. Devontae's crazy route running. Jalen hurting them, throwing lasers to Rager, young gunning. Come on! On the D side, we ride, sack him with Fletcher, lay him out on the stretcher. No one can protect you. Watch Darius lay him, shutting down your routes. Come on! In my green John, eating Philly cheesesteaks. Put up your cups, wings up, if you can relate. Tailgating at the link like Cancer Stride. To the BIRDGANG Nation, that's worldwide. On Sundays.
So, my mic was. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Midweek Special with your boy BIRDGANG 31. I got my partner over here, Mr. Gay City. Let him know about it.
What's going on? What's up, BIRDGANG Nation? Hey, we got Stat Sheet Steve here, coming over here with Gay City Sports, joining the nation. Happy to be here, guys. Can't wait to talk a little bit about Bird Sports here.
Yeah. How's everybody doing in the chat? What's up, Grant Kazir? We got some people in here already. Ewing, how you guys doing tonight? So yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get over this last game that we went. That Birds won. Again against Broncos. We won against the Broncos. It was a great win for the Birds, man. Gate City, how'd you like the game? And tell me some good parts about it.
Offensive line, man. Offensive line is really playing well. I mean, when the All-22 kind of came out today for me, where I had a chance to really look at it, and I'm going to be honest, man, that offensive line is just absolutely destroying people. And it's going to be a heck of a matchup here against New Orleans. But I can tell you the previous couple of games we've played, man, the offensive line has absolutely opened up running lanes for these running backs. And it seems like we may have happenstance fumbled onto this because the fan base just kept screaming at the coaching staff to let's run the football. But hey, man, it looks like we really found a serviceable, really good identity to this offense right now.
Nice, man. How'd you like Jalen Hurts play just for specifically? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's starting to come around the Hurts train now. I'm starting to really like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been on it the whole time. And I just wanted people to really understand that it wasn't his fault that he's having such, bad games early. It's because we wasn't running the ball. We kept doing the same RPO play over and over. That kind of stunted his growth. But now that you see that we're running the ball, he threw the ball about 20 times. Or what was it, 23 times, something like that this last week. And I think that's his comfort zone between the 20 and 25 mark. If we can keep him throwing the ball that much and still getting some runs in with his legs, I think he'll be good the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the behind-the-scenes stuff that goes on here, guys. Speaking as someone who's coached quarterbacks for well over 10 years, played the position myself, it's the subtle things that normally don't get picked up by people that really mean a lot from the quarterback play. And there's a certain anticipation and feel to the pocket that it's difficult to describe it other than when you see it, a guy is kind of feeling it. And the best play is the one, unfortunately, got Dallas Goedert concussed. But the way that he actually slid the pocket, that's the way you're supposed to do things. That shows me a young quarterback that's really starting to get it. And that's big time. There's still some other things, man. I'm not saying it's 100% complete with reading coverages and stuff like that yet. I mean, he's still got some work to do. But there are certain things that make you go, you know what? They're paying dividends on the coaching they're giving this young man. This young man is open to coaching. He's accepting the coaching. And I got to tell you, the last game was a heck of an example of what you can do if you just stick with it, you keep working at it, and you stay true to what you're being told. You stay true to what's being taught to you. And I got to be honest with you, man. If Jalen starts to combine these things together, it's really hard to find guys with the athletic ability of a Jalen Hurts. So if he starts getting these little subtle things involved in his football game, that's a franchise quarterback. I'm just going to tell you right now. If he can do those little things down the road, that's a franchise quarterback. That's a very, very high caliber quarterback. We'll have to see. You need more than one game. But that was one heck of an outing in Denver. On the road, in a place we've been blown out the last, I don't know, it's like 15 years we've played there or something. It was something ridiculous. We hadn't even been in games there. It's a heck of a showing.
Yeah, and I think it really helped him out a lot having his coach on the sideline with him. You know what I'm saying? Johnson on the sideline with him, because they said he was up in the box before, but then he came down on the field to help walk through plays with him. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Jalen's doing good. Like, you've seen the stats with him and Donovan McNabb first 14 games. See him with Randall Cunningham first for him and Carson Wentz first 14 games. He's doing better than all these other good quarterbacks that we've had. You know what I'm saying? And I just think if you put his stats up against anybody that's ever played the position, his numbers are looking pretty good, you know, for a start. I think it's definitely time for us to really just chill back, you know, let this young man grow, because he is definitely growing at a rapid rate. And that connection with him and Devontae Smith right now is looking better and better every single week. How do you see Devontae Smith so far? How'd you like his game?
Devontae's a stud when it comes to route running. The way that this young man releases off the line of scrimmage, what he can do when he sinks his hips to create separation at the top of route stems, he's special. He's special in that way. Like, he's not a big guy, but even what everyone said, all the analysts, everyone who was breaking down Devontae Smith, we all came away and said the same thing, which is he's not a big guy, and you're always going to be worried that if he takes the right hit at the right angle, it's lights out. But he's so good at positioning the body to avoid those hits. And if you can do that, you're probably going to be successful in the NFL. Like, it's just a matter of, you know, what does this young man's body hold up to over time? It's not like a one season thing you worry about. And just what can this young man do in terms of the pieces around him right now? Because right now it's just not, you know, outside of, you know, having himself and having Goddard, you know, having a solid running game and solid offensive line play, we need some more of those pieces, the complementary pieces, to step up. I still think, personally, my opinion here, BIRDGANG, is that I still feel this offense needs a big possession, boundary side, X-aligned receiver. I still think we're missing that. And I think if you could add that kind of element to the game, someone who can line up on the boundary or line up tight to the formation, even play as a large slot. The things that, let's just be honest, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was supposed to be able to do. That was a next Alshon Jeffrey. We don't have that. And I do think that times the offense gets hurt by that.
You don't think Quez can be that guy?
Nah, Quez isn't built that way, and he's not good enough at releasing yet. Quez has shown a lot of improvement, but I think Quez is more of a flanker. He's more of your deep speed guy. I don't even think Quez really fits the slot, to be honest. I don't think that's his, you know, because the slot requires a lot of agility. It requires a lot of lateral speed, not vertical. And I think he's better suited to actually play the flanker. I think Rager has the potential to be a really, really good slot, but he's not good enough releasing off the line of scrimmage. Rager has all the attributes you look for in terms of the agility, the top end speed, getting going. You know, he's a former running back in high school, so he's got the vision at times. I mean, I've seen some questionable things from his vision, though, too, at the NFL level, where it's like, dude, why would you run into the defender? What are you doing? There's a whole lot of green. You just looked a different way. But I think he's the guy that, you know, if I was organizing the offense, and I know Nick believes in this idea of alignmentless receiver play, which I think is, I understand where he's getting, you know, what he's saying, but I still think there are attributes that matter. You can't be a guy that has like a sub 75-inch wingspan and try to play the boundary. I just think you'll struggle. You have to really be able to separate if your wingspan isn't great enough. Just like if you're a flanker, there is a certain foot speed that you need, because, to be honest with you, you're talking about a very difficult throw for the quarterback to make. That's your far hash throw. You're trying to run a timing route there. You better get to that spot, and you better get to that spot fast. That requires a guy that can really release off the line of scrimmage and win, and has tremendous vertical speed to get upfield on you, especially if you got defensive backs that are playing off, because they're playing the field. So they feel that the distance between where the quarterback's throwing and the sideline protects them a little bit. So they're going to play off of you a little bit. That means you have to close the gap fast, rapid fire, as they call it. you have to close that gap fast to make him come, to get ready, to basically get on those heels and get ready to turn those hips, shoot those hips and run. So if you can't do, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are attributes that matter from the receivers.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, man. Because I still think Devontae is probably really, and naturally, I think Devontae is a guy that you can't play all three alignments, to be honest. He's got the length, he's got the wingspan to be, and next he just doesn't have the physical body for it. But he's still good enough in his route running to create separation, even though he's not that guy necessarily.
I think his struggles.
He's plenty of good enough to play the flanker, and I think he can definitely play inside the slot just because he's got some sneaky ability to find the zone and sit down in it.
Yeah, I think his struggles earlier in the season was more him learning the game of the NFL. You know what I'm saying? I think it was more like, the first game you see him kind of go off, but then the next game they double teamed him. You know what I'm saying? They did stuff like that, and I don't think he was really used to the pro level double team. You know what I'm saying? He thought he was still going to be able to do that college stuff, and I think it took him a couple of games really to get acclimated to the whole physicality of it. People realize they can push him off the line, push him out of bounds, do those type of things to him. But after he learned how to adjust those things, I think now we're going to see a lot better Devontae Smith moving forward. And with Reagor, I think he should play the slot. Like, when we seen him do what he do against was it the Lions, how he was doing those jet sweeps and things out like that, quick screens, 5-yard slants, things like that. That's his game that he needs to be, for this offense, I think. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where you should keep him. That we should make him do every single game, mix it in there, you know what I'm saying? Like, he can even line up in the backfield a couple of times, you know what I'm saying, doing like a special type play, you know what I'm saying? If there's a lot of things you can do with guys like him. And with Quez, I feel like his route run has definitely gotten better. If you look at a lot of these games, I think last game was the only game I've seen this whole year where he's really getting a lot of targets early. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the games, he just wasn't getting the targets, and he was open on a lot of plays. My biggest one was a week.
I feel so bad, though, man. That drop was such a bad, he's played so well. He's played so well outside of that play, but that play was so bad.
What they call it, alligator armed it?
Yeah, he did. He definitely. It's what it was, in my opinion, man. And I played a little receiver, but I've coached more than I've played receiver, to be honest. I think that was a concentration thing. I honestly think that was a concentration.
I thought he had it, he's like, I got it, and it was nope, he didn't got it.
But man, it looked bad. It looked really bad, and they kept re-showing it. And I'm like, man, I feel for this young man right now because he's played. You would never know from that play how well he's played. He's played exceptionally well outside of that. And it's like, ooh, that one hurt a little bit. But I really do feel like if you get one more big guy that can go up and make plays, who can control the ball, who can give you that third down conversion type outside of your tight end, you know what I mean? Outside of Devontae Smith, I think you have something, man, because then you got Reagor or you have, Quez as your third and the other guy is your subsequent fourth receiver. So then I think you start having the formations of a pretty decent receiver corps. It also gives you time to develop those guys. Because right now, it's almost like we're getting Hurts going. I feel really good about the general direction Hurts is going in. So now it's a matter of, can you then invest time and effort, and can take to coaching the same way? And that's where I think there's going to be a struggle, BIRDGANG, because you remember the reports last year. There were a lot of reports that we had a lot of maturity issues from the receivers.
Facts.
So maybe you get a guy like Jalen Hurts, who they respect, to be like, hey, man, it's time for y'all to stop talking because you're not producing and start listening to this coaching staff.
Facts.
I don't know if he's got that kind of pull with the guys to be able to really bring the heavy hand down and be like, you want me to get you the ball? Start listening to the coaching staff. Start releasing off the line of scrimmage the right way so that way I can see you inside my progressions. Because here's the thing. You lose off the line of scrimmage, I'm telling you as a quarterback, if you lose off the line of scrimmage, I'm not looking your way.
Yeah. And then you definitely don't have enough time to get back to you.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm moving on to my next read. It's just the way it works, unfortunately. And I think that's why Reagor's targets are going down, even though if you look late, that's the thing, is he loses a little bit off the line of scrimmage, but Reagor's such a gifted athlete that he'll win deeper in the route. And then you'll run the film and everybody like, man, Reagor was wide open. 8 seconds into the play. He wasn't off the line. That's the problem. You've got to release correctly. That's where they need work. Man. They need work. And that's where you've seen the greatest improvement from Quez's game. Quez is releasing pretty well. Quez is far better releasing up the line of scrimmage than I thought he was going to be. And that's a pretty big piece of why he's had so much success in preseason and camp, and then moderate success early in. I don't want to overhype what Quez has done, but he's had moderate success. You know, he's definitely been a guy that they can feed the ball to a couple times a game.
And I definitely think we need to go deep to him a couple times. You know what I'm saying? Like, that should just be part of your offensive game plan. Once or twice a game, you just got to do it just to do it, just to respect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we haven't seen a deep ball since, the San Francisco game. You know what I'm saying? With Quez Watkins at 91-yarder. So I think you just need to do it. Like I said, just test it out, at least once or twice a game. Now, especially now we're running the ball, those safeties are coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like, the linebackers are cheating, for trying to stop that run. That it'd be a perfect time to actually use that and incorporate that into your game plan every single week. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's what he is. He's a deep threat. You know what I'm saying? That kind of speed, you can't teach that kind of speed. Whether his routes are smooth or not, they don't all have to be streaks. They can be posts, deep posts. They can do post corners, whatever you got to do, but we definitely got to get it in there. Let's go to this running game, man. How did you like seeing Boston Scott and Miles Howard perform last week?
Miles Howard. I love how you combine those two. Give me those two guys
Jordan
in one
Howard.
body. We got something, man.
Right, Jordan Howard.
I knew you meant, man. I got you. Yeah, they're playing well, but there's limitations to their game. But the thing is that even though Jordan Howard's limited, he's not an explosive player. Although you look at D15 plus, he's top 10 in terms of yardage plays over 15 yards from running backs the past 3 weeks. But I will say Jordan Howard's limited. Like he's not a guy that's probably going to break 50-yard plus runs for you. That's probably going to be a very, very rare occurrence. But that's not what you want him for. He's going to leave. He's going to leave at times, a little bit of green on the field because he's just not athletic enough to make certain moves. But what he won't do, he won't get caught in the backfield and get dropped very often. The guy is always falling forward. You heard the acronym. He's always falling forward. A guy that always falls forward is a guy that keeps you in rhythm in your offense. That's important, in my opinion. I think that's a really important thing to see. And, I mean, we'll see if it continues, but I have my doubts that they're going to stay Jordan Howard just because I know how the Eagles are. But I really think it's going to be Miles Sanders is going to come back and be your lead back. Jordan Howard he'll be your second back. But that's
I think that's how it should be. A lot of people hype up Jordan. They hype up Jordan and beat his like great back or something. I don't really see it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, he's good for the short yardage stuff. He pound to put that wear and tear on the defense type back. But Miles Sanders is the guy. You know what I'm saying? Miles Sanders, given the carries, can be that top 5 running back in the NFL. That's how talented the guy is. You know what I'm saying? He just hasn't had that opportunity. Last year, we didn't give him the opportunity. The beginning of this year, when he was healthy, we didn't give him the opportunity up till the game, where he started to start wearing them out, but then he got hurt. So it's like, I feel with Miles coming back, maybe the first week, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think we should keep all 4 guys up this first week, or you think someone's going to take a back seat?
Somebody's going to definitely take a back seat. There's no
this
doubt
week,
about
though,
that.
this very first week he's back.
Sanders he's been activated from the injury reserve list. Now he's 21-day practice window. So they may hold him out this week. Who knows? I don't think they are, though. I think he's going to be back this week. If that happens, my guess, and no one really knows. You know what I'm saying? Like it's trying to prognosticate the future here, and that's hard to do. My guess is that they would probably go with Miles Sanders as the lead back. Jordan Howard will be the third down back, the short yardage, the tempo setter. The guy's going to come out there and give you that physicality, which he's been pretty much doing. Boston Scott's been kind of starting games out early. Then they bring Howard in the next series. I'm worried that Boston Scott could lose momentum and could lose ground. That's my fear. I fear that he could lose momentum. He could lose ground. But we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said in my video, I think there are inventive ways of getting 21 personnel onto the field. And I know you guys are like, God, Gate, not again, not 21 personnel, Gate.
Right.
Bro, we know you grew up in the 1990s. It's gone. Let it go. I get it, guys. I'm not talking about the 1990s, early 2000s of 21 personnel where you're that stuff, power lead. I'm not talking about that, guys. I'm talking about
we could use Jack Stoll in that position.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm talking about creative ways of getting 2 running backs on the field, which is you could take a guy like Kenneth Gainwell and you could put him in the slot. I think he's got the receiving. I think he can catch the ball, to be quite honest with you, Kenneth Gainwell. And I think he's very, very elusive off the line. He gives you a lot of – he's not quite the athlete. He's not to the same level of athlete of a Jalen Reagor. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. might be a better route runner off the line of scrimmage. If I'm going to be real,
He
to
is.
be honest, So I mean, I just think that you could do things with guys like Rager. You could do things with guys like Kenneth Gainwell. You could use a lot of motion. We need a little bit more pre-snap motion. I saw a lot of it last week. It's just kind of got to continue because I think Nick's default is just to line the guys up and then have them win off the line of scrimmage. And like when the guys are struggling, you got to move them. You need pre-snap motion. But we'll see what happens. I mean,
Yeah, I think he is.
but I think he can do that, man. You line a Gainwell up in the slot. You got a Miles Sanders. You got a Boston Scott or Jordan Howard. Pick your poison.
Yeah.
I think you can do some stuff.
Yeah, I think they can keep all four of them, like you were just saying. Use Gainwell to be that receiver. You know what I'm saying? Maybe have one less receiver dressed for the game. Have that one extra running back take that spot. Yeah, let Gainwell line up in the backfield, motion out the slot. You know what I'm saying? Do all the running back normal routes that they like to run. You know what I'm saying? And then make the runners be Miles Sanders. I think the first week we should do like a Miles Sanders, Howard, Scott, even balance, like they've been doing. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure Miles is all the way healthy, he's ready to go. And then the following week, it'd be more Miles Sanders and Howard. And then you can do what you want to do with the other two.
Yeah, and they've done a lot of stuff out of they're not using a ton of snaps out of 21 personnel, but they've done some stuff out of 21 personnel. The game prior, the Chargers game, they definitely caught them a few times on that cross zone where they faked the cross zone out of 21. That's one of the huge Devontae Smith plays. That was 21 personnel they caught him with. They've done a lot out of 12 and 13 personnel with cross zone and stuff like that. Last game, they used a lot more pulling. You saw a lot more pulling, a little bit more of that pulling scheme kind of stuff like power zone. Well, it's not even really zone, it's just power football. They used a lot of that kind of stuff in the last game. So what I will say is that I think Nick's smart enough to kind of mix things up and make it so you just don't say like, oh, they're going to use inside zone. Oh, they're going to go to an outside zone scheme. Oh, they're going to use a cross zone. He's mixing it up. Like, no, like, we're going to run at you, but you just got to figure out the blocking assignment, how we're going to get them at you.
Yeah.
This is a big game, man. This team can hold the line. Now, I will say this. They struggled to keep up with our outside speed last year. Different head coach, different teams, to be honest. But some of those same players, the Mario Davis and those guys that struggled in that game are still on that team, and they're good football players. And they really, really struggled to contain. Now, some of that had to do with the zone read. They were overplaying the zone read stuff, and I don't think they had any clue how to play Jalen Hurts. So we'll see what the adjustment is. But
and I don't really think you can really take that much
of them in trouble.
I don't think they can really take that much of last year's Jalen Hurts with this year's Jalen Hurts. Like you said, it's a totally different offense. You know what I'm saying? Nick's probably going to come attack a totally different way. And I know they didn't have any game tape on Jalen last year, so that's why everybody used the excuse of why he beat him. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you guys had the number one defense at the time, okay? And Jalen went out there and did his thing, you know what I'm saying? So I think that we have an advantage again this year because we're even faster. We're more faster. I think we got better offensive line than when we played them last year. You know what I'm saying? Like they're more cohesive, this offensive line. And the only downfall I see is maybe the fact that we might not have Dallas Goedert this game.
Yeah. Richie MC, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Well, I know fullback, Stoller, Jackson, ideal guys. I wouldn't say Jackson's ideal, Richie. The reason I would say that Jackson's not ideal is he's a willing blocker, but he's not a particularly good one. He's more of I think if you get him going and getting involved in the offense, he could be a legit receiving threat, especially in the red zone. Now, Jack Stoll he's an inline tight end. That's a wide tight end, and they do use them in wing formations, him and Goddard. So they kind of play the role of that lead back at times, that they'll use them in some stuff. But it just depends, man. I mean, Nick's trying to mix it up, so he's going to do different things. Like, he's going to do a little bit different. I mean, I haven't seen him line up Goddard or line up Stoll yet in the backfield, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's used them in the wing, but not like offset or in the eye or anything like that.
Yeah, and then they were saying that in the offseason they were going to use Stoll to be do some lead block plays. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the only time I think we seen him line back there was that one game where we quarterback sneaked it from the one, but we lined up in I formation. Hell, I think that's the only time I've even seen us line up in I formation, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, modern football, man, it's just different. I mean, the team that I see that'll do this every now and then, to be quite honest, is the Ravens will every now and then. I'll see them definitely go with lead back. You'll definitely see that kind of that kind of power game from them. But the Eagles, like I called for it and they did it. To be fair to the Eagles, when they got Jordan Howard in the lineup, I was saying, hey man, like why are we not doing some like single back power? You don't have to have lead power. You can do single back power, and they did.
Yeah,
Nick did. He was like, yeah, you're not the only one that sees that, Gate. I see it too. We're going to do it.
right. Hey,
And he
Nick
did.
was being stubborn. And Nick was being stubborn in
Yeah.
the first 6 games. He you got to give him a little credit because he was determined to run the offense the way he wanted to till he realized, everything about our offense is set up to be a running team. You know what I'm saying? Our linemen are big beasts on the line. You know what I'm saying? Our running backs that we had a plethora of them. You know what I'm saying? Our tight ends, receivers are fast. It stretched the defense out so the running lanes are even more open. You know what I'm saying? So everything was set up for it to be a running team. I think he was just trying to force that passing team on us. You know what I'm saying? And realized early that you weren't going to win no games that way. So I'm happy he finally woken up and realizes what he has to do and understands the type of team he have so he can put these guys in the right position. But let's talk about Tyree Jackson. Do you think with Goddard out, he can become, the main target for that tight end spot? You know what I'm saying? Get as many targets as maybe a Dallas Goddard would get, or do you think it's going to be like the last couple of games where last 2 games, he has got no targets, I don't think.
I don't know what his understanding of the offense is yet. I mean, he was there while they were installing and he got knocked out in the preseason. But it's a little different when you're falling into the rhythm of the season. So I don't know what his knowledge is over the playbook yet. But he's been back now for a few weeks. This will, I think, be his 3rd week back, I want to say. So, I mean, the front office loves this kid. They absolutely love this kid. And I definitely think there's something there from the receiving perspective to him. Like, he's definitely a former quarterback. He knows where to be in the routes. He knows that it's very important that you are where you're supposed to be. And he's got a big frame and a big wingspan and big hands to go pluck the ball out of the air. He can definitely, we struggled before, when Alshon was getting injured in 2019. I made videos and I was explaining to people how we were using 12 personnel. We were aligning Zach Ertz, who's not a big wingspan guy, but he's adequate. He's 76, 77-inch wingspan. We were using him to kind of play the role of the boundary side receiver. You got guys like Goddard. You got guys that that can kind of play the role, but probably don't want Goddard having to fight his way. It'd be a lot on the outside to fight like that. But I do think a guy like Tyree Jackson's a little more athletic. Goddard's no slouch of an athlete either, but Tyree Jackson could definitely be kind of intriguing in that role on occasion.
Because he's fast.
We don't have that guy. We just really don't have that guy. We don't. I mean, I would say that outside of JJ, who's got about a 79 or so, he's like just under 80-inch wingspan, which is pretty typical of that position. I just don't think we have another guy like that. I mean, the next closest guy is honestly going to be Devontae Smith, and he's lanky. He's a lot longer than what people think. I mean, dude's got like pretty close to 78-inch wingspan, I think. So I mean, he's got a heck of a catch radius. Actually, that's what makes him kind of a tricky matchup. He's really good at the release off the line of scrimmage. He's very good at sinking his hips and creating separation at the top of his route stem. And then the guy's lanky and he's got a good wingspan and he can pluck balls out of the air. On you. And he's really good at identifying zones, sitting down in them and just plucking the ball out of the air on you. I mean, he could definitely kill you that way. They got to figure some stuff out, right? Because, I mean, eventually teams are, as more and more film gets out there, teams are going to start queuing in on what we're doing a little bit more. Like, here's only, you can diversify things, but it's only so far you can go with the running. Eventually teams they're going to start really bringing guys into the box and really daring us. So then that goes to Dallas Goedert, that goes to Tyree Jackson, that goes to Devontae Smith in this receiving core and Jalen Hurts to win those matchups when they do the inevitable, when they start bringing down and loading the box. When they start bringing 8-man boxes, it's for real. Teams have said we're not getting beat in a run. It's not happening. That's when you start bringing 8-man boxes. You bring an 8-man box, that's 3 guys. That is 3 guys that you have to beat. That's it in the back end.
Yeah.
So it's a matter, can those guys smoke those dudes on the back end? And can we hit a big play off a play action or something, right? Because what you don't want to do is an 8-man box can give you an 8-man box, but if they see pass right away, the linebackers stuff will fall in their zone. So you want to hold it. Give your guy time to beat that, you know what I mean? But that's what it's going to come down to, man. That's where the offense kind of has to keep going, and that's where the positive things have happened so far. Because boy, 15-17 in the first half, man. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that they just switched jerseys for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were playing like a, like April Fool's joke on us in November. Like, because I was like, yo, this is what quarterbacks do to our defense.
Right.
I mean, we were here. Kid was 15-17, man. He was lighting them up. Like,
but I think Jalen can do that if they showed that stat earlier how, as long as we're running the ball, Jalen's passing numbers are good. It's when we're not running the ball, his passing numbers go down because he's throwing the ball too much. You know what I'm saying? So I think as long as we keep this fair balance with Jalen, man, we can see this like every game. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he's progression. I think last week showed that he stays in the pocket a lot more. He should learn how to stay in the pocket a little bit more. He learns to move around the pocket as opposed to just run out of the pocket. He was moving around the pocket last week, looking good doing that. So, as long as he can stay, with the fundamentals of the game, stay patient, instead of trying to jet out of there, which he's have been doing the last 2 weeks. And even the week before, he's been doing a lot better at that. So it's like, as long as he continues that, man, the sky's the limit for Jalen Hurts, man. I'm waiting for him to put that 300-yard game with 100 yards rushing on the board just to shut him up. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what kind of capabilities he have being that dual threat quarterback. So, give me a player or two. Give me a player or two that you think has not had been used too much, that you want to see a little less of, and two players that you haven't been used enough.
I'll be honest, and I think this player is a very good player, but I just think he's being beat out, and I think that he needs to sit down for a little bit offensively. And it's not who everyone thinks; it's Driscoll. Herbig needs to take the place of Driscoll right now.
I said that since the beginning.
To be honest,
Driscoll is a tackle. He's not a guard.
No, Driscoll's exactly. He's playing guard right now. He's a swing guy. But I just don't think that he fits exactly what we're trying to do right now. And I think he's struggling a little bit. And I don't think it's because he's a bad player. I think Driscoll's got a heck of a lot of talent. I think he makes a heck of a sixth man off the bench.
Yeah.
I think Herbig should probably be the right guard until Brooks gets back. Exactly. I really do. Now, that doesn't mean that the play's been bad. I mean, we can look at the offensive line stats, and you can see, man, this offensive line is playing good, Driscoll in or not. It's playing really well. And that's the problem is that, and I know if Jalen Williams is in the chat, he's like, Gate, shut up. You're going to mess up the entire chemistry of the offensive line. And that's the concern is if you start plugging and moving pieces on the offensive line.
But
sometimes you got to let it roll.
Guard already. Remember, when Lane was out, they moved Driscoll to tackle, and Herbert played guard. Yeah. And I thought that's what they should have did the whole time. I don't even think they ever should have moved Mailata out to the right side when they did that. You know what I'm saying? I thought he should have stayed on the left, put Dillard on the bench, and let those other guys go. Because they're our future on that right side, I think. Driscoll at tackle and Herbert at guard. You know what I'm saying? The more we play game time they can get together, the better for us. You know what I'm saying? So, you're the first one, too. I've been saying that, too, man, that Herbert would be a better guard fit than Driscoll. Even his body style, his body type is of a tackle. He looks like a tackle in the guard spot. You know what I'm saying? Like it's supposed to, you see big Herbert, he comes in, he looks like a guard. You know what I'm saying? He moves like a guard. So that's more realistic.
To be honest with you, as someone who played quarterback, I really understood leverage. I understood when an offensive lineman lost leverage because that basically meant, hey, speed it up. You're about to be in trouble. But I've learned a lot from guys like Jalen Williams. There's a few guys that come in my chat all the time that are lineman guys, defensive line, offensive line guys. And over the time of me having this channel and, doing like private discussions with everybody, I've learned from some of them. And, I've learned a ton from some of these guys, and they've taught me a little bit about technique and some of the techniques that are being asked to be played with and how that flaws things. And, that's one of the areas I've probably expanded my knowledge the most over the last 2-3 years is over the line play. And it's helped me make some determinations. I was the first one to speak up on Milton Williams and say, I love this kid's athleticism. Boy, he's bad against the run when you look at the better teams. He got straight moved out of his gap assignments by BYU, by Marshall, by the better teams on his schedule. He got moved in that free tech. I didn't say the guy was bad. I didn't say that it was a bad pick. I just said he might not flash as early as people think. It might take him a little longer, but he's a pretty good pass rusher. His initial pass rush move is really good. He just needs to develop a secondary move. Because once he gets stonewalled on the first pass rush move, sometimes it's a little ugly on film. But the kid has tremendous talent. I mean, it's hard to find guys with that kind of measurements that play that kind of position and have that kind of versatility. And they saw him as a Brandon Graham. a guy that can play inside, outside, give you a ton of versatility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that he should step down per se. That's not what I'm saying. I think Ryan Kerrigan should be just completely moved to the bench. I mean, that should be purely a rotational piece that gets used sparingly.
Is he even playing?
Move him to the bench. I don't care. I don't care how many snaps he's getting. Move him to the bench further. Tyron Jackson's the guy that needs more snaps. Tyron Jackson's the guy that I was really, really high on coming out of college. I said Tyron Jackson has the opposite problem Milton Williams. Tyron Jackson doesn't have a good initial pass rush move. But I told you guys when I watched Coastal Carolina, I said, that dude's secondary spin move, watch out. He's been getting NFL linemen with that spin move. Now,
Johnson.
as film comes out and they know that's his go-to move, they're going to win the leverage on it. He's going to have to develop a little bit more than that. But right now, he's getting guys with it. And I'm a pretty big fan of Tyron Jackson so far, man. I think he's been way worth that 6th-round pick we spent on him. He's a guy that I think should be playing more. Now, Kerrigan's the guy, he's not really playing that much, so I would definitely move him down. The other guy would be Derek Barnett. I mean, I'm not saying you bench Derek Barnett because I still think Derek Barnett is probably the better all-around guy in the scheme from the ends. But he just makes – and look, the play last week I don't even think was necessarily his fault. It's one of those things that when you make the stupid plays you've made in previous weeks, they look for you. That was a bang-bang play, and other guys might have got away with it. He didn't get away with it. I'm not going to fault him for that play because it's really hard to pull up on that play. It is. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Maybe giving Tyron Jackson snaps from Kerrigan, giving him some snaps from you know what I mean, from Barnett, because Barnett's not going to be a long-term solution here. I say that, but you never know. But it doesn't feel like he's going to be a long-term solution here. So it's kind of like, I mean, shouldn't we be playing the guys that might have a chance of being bigger role players next year? You know what I mean? Like, it's a tough decision, but I do think that Tyron Jackson deserves more snaps. I do. Nice. How you get those snaps is the difficult part.
How you like our linebackers right now with Davion and Edwards?
Like those two a lot. There's still limitations there. There's no doubt about it. They're limited. Davion is still learning, the speed of the game. There's no doubt about that, but you can see how fast he's catching up. But the one thing, or the big thing about Davion Taylor and TJ Edwards is they flow to the football and they hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's made all the difference because we did look soft early in the season. Yeah. We did, and we don't look soft anymore. Even the games where they rip a few plays on us, we don't look soft.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that somebody missed a gap assignment. That's normally what happens with those. Somebody was outside of their gap assignment, and they focused on TJ. I noticed that Denver they were definitely trying to make sure they got somebody on TJ. They did not want him flowing downhill and playing downhill in that game. So they spent a lot of time and effort to try to take him out of the game. And he still flashed on plays, to be honest. But there were a couple of times that they stonewalled him from getting to a gap, and that's why they hit a couple plays on us. Outside of that, man, I don't know what you have in it. Patrick Johnson flashes every now and then, but his snaps have been greatly reduced recently, so I don't really know what to make there. I thought Sean Bradley, the sparingly that he's played, he's a great special teams player. Probably more of a 5th linebacker. You know what I mean? I think that's his role.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, I had high hopes that he could be more than that. But he's a heck of a special teams player. He's a guy that can give you a handful of snaps. I think he's a good 5th linebacker type. I just don't know that we have that 3rd or that 4th guy yet. You know what I mean?
I feel like we still need that
for those guys. You might be right, honestly. I mean, we don't have that tremendously talented guy.
Would you take a flyer at him?
There's not a Darius Leonard here. There's not a an Anthony Barr here. We don't have those type of players. No doubt about it.
I said, what about Jalen Smith? Would you take a flyer on him? Is he still out there?
He's better than what we have, but I still don't think that he fits what we're trying to do. He's better than what we have, though.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, I just feel like we need that physical guy. These guys are more like the outside linebackers, you know what I'm saying? Body type where they're really fast. They can handle, dealing with not linebackers, tight ends and receivers in the slot, something like that. They have the speed, but we need that thumper, that big guy in the middle, that lead our defense. And our defense will probably play a lot better. You know what I'm saying? If you can get a bar type, linebacker or type of linebacker to put in the middle of that defense, and our defense wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah, Richie MC, Owasika. I was the president of the Owasika fan club during camp. Yeah, man, I think he's a year or two away. I think you're spot on, Richie. He's a year or two away. I still like him a lot, man. He was a heck of a run blocker in college. So, we'll see. those guys on the practice squad are always going to be a little bit of a long shot, but there's just something about his film when I turned it on, Richie, that made me just a huge fan of his. We'll see. I mean, they also like the Jack Anderson kid a lot too, so they might have just one too many of those guys that can kind of play that role. So somebody's probably going to get lost in the shuffle there, and I can tell you right now, there'll be a ton of people waiting in the wings to take them because we're pretty good at developing talent and identifying it on the line.
Yeah.
So
look at Richie talking about I'm a homer. I am a USC homer. I love my Trojans, my guy. And I think Drake London will be perfect, and I mean perfect, for this receiving core here next year. He got an injury. We'll see if he drops or not, because will I use that first round pick? It has to be the late first round pick for him. You know what I'm saying? If we get all three of them. But I definitely would love to have Drake London on this squad. I think he'll be a great fit. And Slovis, if we can get Slovis in like the 3rd or 4th round, I'll bring him in to back up Jalen.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I really like the kid out there, the receiver out there, but I think his stock is rising. There's a lot of these late round guys we might be able to pluck, or mid round guys where we don't need to spend extreme draft capital to take a flyer on a guy. I'll go to my school, NC State. Amika Mezzi, big physical kid. He's a better Kelvin Harmon. You guys remember Kelvin Harmon that went to the Redskins? Big physical kid that he didn't run as well. Well, Amika Mezzi runs a little better than Harmon does. So you could take a flyer on a guy like that. I don't know his measurables yet, though. I don't know what his wingspan and stuff's going to come in, but I'm going to say he's definitely over 77 inches in the wingspan. He's over 6 foot. He's probably like 6'1"ish. Might be 6'2", but I'm gonna guess he's 6'1".
Mm-hmm.
There's a few of them out there. There's a couple guys.
One from Ohio State.
These guys there's a few of these guys that you could probably take waivers on and just see if one of them turns out to be something. I mean, sometimes I think that's where you kind of are with the wide receiver core, because you spent so much draft capital on it. I can't see us dipping early again at the receiver position. Like, either you go get you somebody in free agency, or you try to get a guy and develop him on the back. Fulgham's a disappointment, because Fulgham had all the talent to be that guy. It was not a lack of talent with Fulgham. That was not the problem. So, I mean, it's a little disappointing that the Fulgham situation didn't work out. It's disappointing that towards the end of his career, Alshon Jeffrey got injured, and then all the other crazy crap surrounding Alshon happened. I mean, there were moments where Alshon showed that he could still play the game, except for last year. When he came back from that injury last year, he did not. He just didn't look like the same guy to me.
Yeah.
He didn't look like the same guy from 2017, 18, and 19 when he was healthy. So, I mean, it happens fast with receivers, unfortunately, guys.
But I would do it. If we can make us better, you're not really sold on Rager, just go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have 3 first-round picks. So, if you're going to shore up a position for sure, get a stud receiver to pair along with Devontae Smith, that'll take pressure off both of them, you know what I'm saying? Because who are you going to double team? Devontae or that receiver, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. Well, the crazy thing is I honestly don't think they're going to make 3 first-round picks. I just highly doubt it. They'll trade back, or they'll trade up, or they'll trade back to target a guy that they want. I think that's what they're going to do with those picks, just because it's, when you look at the rookie salary cap pool, when you look at the rookie pool, it's expensive to pay first-round picks. Now, it's in increments. Top 10, top 5 is real expensive. 6 through 10 is quite expensive. 11 through about 19 is fairly expensive, and then you got just expensive past that point. So, I mean, I don't know how much they're going to do that. How many picks they're going to exert on that. I think they're going to maybe focus on 1 or 2 guys, and they're going to go get them. I think that's going to be their approach.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I mean,
I hope we use all 3 of them, because I think we need it. We need to use it. Like you said,
an infusion of talent. But I think that the guys we get, if you got a guy and that's your guy, instead of taking 3 guys, I'd rather just make sure you go get your guy.
Yeah.
Go get your guy. If you know that one of those defensive ends or one of those defensive tackles, because you're going to have to go early, is your guy, then you got to go get them, especially if you're outside the top 10. Those picks are outside the top 10, you're going to try to bring them together to get into the top 10 and go get a guy, then you got to go get them. If one of those corners are your guy, Stingley or one of those are your guy, you got to go get them. You can't, we need so much talent, we can't play around stuff. If you have identified this guy as a potential Pro Bowl player, go get him. Because when you get outside the top 12 or so players, that's when things are really dependent upon your evaluation. It's really hard. Don't get me wrong. They miss. People miss all.
Yeah.
Look at Detroit, how many times they missed in the top 12.
Facts.
You can miss in the top 12, but it is a lot harder to miss in the top 12 than it is to miss anywhere else in the draft. It's way harder to miss there. So I mean, I think if you can find that guy, now what would favor us is if Miami's pick turns into a top 10 pick, which I think it will. I honestly think it's going to be a top 10 pick. But
That'd be sweet.
Yeah,
and then you
I
keep
think
that
that's
one, and then our 2 picks will be in between the 10 and 20 range. Depending on how good we do and the coach do. If Miami can give us that one top 10 guy, and then you keep those. I think 2 of those picks need to be on defense, whether it's linebackers, cornerback, or safety, whichever way you can get that worked out. You know what I'm saying? And then one of them should be on the offensive lineman. You know what I'm saying? I do think we need to go back to tradition and grab an offensive line in that first round early. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to have Kels might retire. Brooks needs to go. He can't stay healthy. And then Lane Johnson only got a couple of years if he does, do his thing here with us. So I think a lineman, linebacker, and somewhere in the secondary with all
we'll
3
see
of
what
those
they do.
picks.
There is a very good guard in this draft class that's out there, but the issue is that you got 2 guys that are more they're more of left. They're more of the left side in Dickerson, and the guy that I'm gonna bring up to you guys. But in saying that, can they eventually over time become, a right guard? That's because if you take, I can't remember how you say this kid's name. It's Ikom Ekwonu. I don't know how you say his name.
That one?
He's the left tackle at NC State right now. Yes, you got me. Eagles has landed. He's a left tackle at NC State right now. He's projected to be a guard. I don't know if he can play the right side. This kid is tremendously talented. You put him and Dickerson together, my God, what you could do. My God, what you could do with this offensive line. And the answer might be Dickerson at center, Ekwonu, or Akwana. I don't know how you say his name.
I struggle with him
It's sad because he's an NC State guy. Put him at left guard, and good God. This offensive line would be ridiculous, to be honest. Now, the thing is I think they like Sayamalu, and I think they want Sayamalu at center. Because I think that right now Dickerson's probably going to be your left guard. So Sayamalu might be the center. And Sayamalu he's a good movement piece. He's got to stay healthy though. Sayamalu was a pretty healthy dude for a long time for the Eagles, but here recently he's kind of been getting dinged up the last couple of years. So that scares me a little bit because your center's got to stay in the football game. You can't afford that kind of trouble. So we saw what happened when Nate Herbert came in there and tried to snap a ball. That was no good.
You need to stay at that right guard spot.
Yeah.
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 Hey, shout out
Cameron's talking about Linderbaum as a center. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to the 52 in the chat. Please like and subscribe to all channels. All channels are in the link. If you're on Gate City page, please subscribe to BIRDGANG 31 and the BIRDGANG BGN Sports Media. If you're on my channel, subscribe to Gate City Sports and the network channel. And like all the channels, man, we're going to be bringing this to you every single week. You know what I'm saying? The midweek special where we break down last week's game and talk about the next game coming up on the schedule. So much love to all you guys. Hit that like on all the channels for us. That'd be much appreciated. But let's get to this Saints game, man. What do you think are some keys to victory for this game?
That's a tough one. It's going to be about the counter. I think the Saints are going to try to bring 7-8 in the box. I really do. I think they're going to try to put 7-8 in the box, try to shut this run down. So it's going to really be about the counter. What can we draw up to confuse them? What can we do to take advantage of that? I think that's going to be a big part of it. And then the other part is that I'm not a huge fan of Trevor Siemian, the quarterback there, but I think he's a streaky guy. I think he's a very streaky guy. And although he did commit a lot of turnovers in Denver, he's protected the ball fairly well the 3 games he's played so far for New Orleans. But this is a guy that was a 7th-round pick. He's better than a 7th-round pick. I think he's demonstrated that throughout his career. But, the guy was just on the practice squad a few weeks ago. So, you know what I mean? Like, can you shut that down? How's the defense going to play? Are we going to play soft zone against this guy, or are we going to bring the house? I got a feeling this is going to be an aggressive game defensively. I think we're going to see very aggressive play calling from Gannon in this game.
Yeah,
because you got this guy in your crosshairs, man, and Kamara's probably going to play, but I don't think he'll be 100%. I can't say that guy's name, Broster. It's like Klarfikis or I know who you're talking about. I have no clue how to say his name, but He's a guy that probably not a
DN?
natural. Yeah, he's not a natural DN. I would say he's more of a 4 tech or a 5 tech in the 30 front, but he could be that guy. I mean, the Eagles like to play 4-eye, so he could definitely play that. I mean, yeah, he's respectable. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Cameron. I don't know how to say his name, but yeah, that's him.
Karloff.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's really good. I mean, I can't remember the old boy's name that played for the Texans. And so long ago since he played now.
I want Dean from Georgia.
Watts was a big guy. He was a big dude that, probably in most systems would be a weird fit. But if you put him in the right system, like the dude was just nuts. He was crazy talented.
I want Dean from Georgia. That's what I wanted in the draft for a linebacker.
Yeah.
That guy's playing some good football over there.
Yeah. Brandizer, it's a little complex, man. So it's not a matter of like, should we play aggressive? Like you can't play aggressive 24/7. It's by the matchup. But I do think that the zone that Gannon runs at times it's I don't know if it's Steven Nelson or if it's Jonathan Gannon, but when you look at film, and I'm referring to the Chargers game on that first 3rd down conversion, and I'm looking and he's playing 8 yards off on a 3rd and 7. Man, that zone's too soft, man. You can't do that. You can't do that. So I mean, it's situational stuff with Gannon more than anything, and that's the hard part. Is I'm a former coach, so I mean I understand these things. Like sometimes it's not always the coach. Sometimes it is the coach because the coach needs to step in and say something. But I'm not sold that was 100% Gannon on that play, and that wasn't just Steve Nelson being Steve Nelson and playing off a little bit. What's up, Philly Mike?
Shout out to Philly Mike in the building with the 199 super chat. He said playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. Yes.
Yeah. You remember Richie MC? I was pretty big on Kwity Paye. I thought Kwity Paye's measurables were quite impressive, man. That dude's lateral speed for a defensive end was next level, man.
Yeah, Kwity Paye.
He's one of those guys that was a raw prospect that you would have had to develop. You think it's Steve Nelson? I hear you. You might be right because I hear a lot of Pittsburgh fans that chimed in real quick and were like, "Yeah, he did that in Pittsburgh. Yes, that's who he is." And I'm like, "Look, I'm not gonna complain about Steve Nelson because he's way better than what we had last year at times. He's not the problem that Darby was, but man, it's just some situational stuff, man. You just can't be 8 yards off on that play. You can't do that. Like sometime, Steven Nelson has to think to himself like, it's 3rd and 7. Why am I this far? Like, no, I need to come down.
I don't think the average should be playing 15 yards off. Like, I think the max should be like 7. Like, come on, these guys aren't slow. The cornerbacks, 7 yards to max. That's off coverage of 7 yards. Either you're man right up on the guy or you're off, and that's 7 yards. I've never seen so many, times where you got DBs sending 10, 15 yards back unless you're playing like a Randy Moss or someone that's super fast, tall, and everything. You need every advantage possible. You know what I'm saying, to get it. But we definitely need to work on that, man. We definitely need to work on that. I wonder, is that the way he's coaching it? Or that's just what the guys are doing?
It's Steven. So here's the thing. And I know Mike will enjoy this because Mike was coming up after me on this one. I broke down film on Steven Nelson when we made the signing. Actually, it was before we made the signing. I broke it down like months before we made the signing. And I said, look, Steven Nelson immediately steps onto the field. He's the second best corner on the football team. That's not the conversation at all. But I went back and I watched the Buffalo game, and I watched him play against Gabriel Davis, and Gabriel Davis ate him up on double moves. He bites on double moves. I think that they're trying to play him back to protect against that kind of stuff. And I do think that when they moved him down a little bit last week, he did get caught on an out and up. He got caught no man's land on out and up, and it just was a mistimed play between quarterback and receiver, or else that would have been a huge, huge play. So, I mean, like, Steven Nelson does have that little bit of a track record where it's like, man, he's aggressive. He'll come down and stick you. And, like, he's certainly better than some of the other corners we've had recently. But I was, when people were, like, saying, like, oh, this dude might be the best corner on the team, I was like,
No.
I
knew he was never going to be
by far the best corner.
Yeah, he was never going to be the best
I was like, no, that's an overstatement. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought if we got Howard, he would have been the best corner on the team. Move Slade at number 2. With Howard, but with Steven Nelson, I was like, no, and maybe that's the reason why we didn't go after Howard as hard, because big play Slade still got a couple good years left in him. Look at him. He's having like a Pro Bowl year this year, man. Did you expect Slay to be playing this good all year long?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, Slay is going to get criticized here and there just because, like, I don't think Slay necessarily this year. I think what's happening is he's getting the eye-opening plays, right? The big interceptions and the fumble recoveries. But that's not always his game. His game is just really solid coverage. And there are times that he has good coverage, and a dude just makes a play on him. There's a reason why Slay doesn't give up 100-yard receivers. He doesn't give 100-yard receiving games. I mean, it's very rare that he does, and because he's a good coverage corner. The problem is he's 31. He's 31, and that contract, he's the highest paid player next year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We got a lot of high paid players for next year, man. Because even like Cox, high paid player, you know what I'm saying? What is your take on Cox? I don't think I even asked you that. You know, do we need to move on from Cox? Because I know when they were talking about the trading deadline and whatnot, you know, they were saying that, you know, we should get overcompensated because we still have to pay that money.
Man. A contract is
we got to pay that money still. So the team had to give us a little bit more.
They were already willing to do it. So that's step one to look into. Is they were already willing to do it. Fletch can still play, but he's not the player he was 3 years ago. He's just not.
No.
I mean, he's still like, look, he had a really good game last week. He had a heck of a game, and he had a pretty good game against the Chargers too, to be honest. With that said, you're always going to be in this situation with Fletch where you're going to be like, yeah, he's a good player, but is the numbers we're paying matching the production we're receiving? And that's complex, man, because sometimes I think people pay far too much attention to sacks, and they don't really look at pressure rates. They don't look at the way that teams game plan for a guy and what they're doing to take guys out of games. Like, you know, those things matter. If you got a game plan for a guy, that guy's giving you your money. But I'll be honest with you, man, I don't know that you can sustain by paying that kind of money to 2 or 3 players. You know, because that was our philosophy. You think about it. You know, last year we had Hargrave, we had Fletch, we had Jackson. Paid a ton of money.
Yeah.
In the defensive tackle room. Like,
and see,
people look at our linebackers pay. Our linebackers were dead last in the entire league, and it was ridiculous how little they were being paid.
And people's argument with Cox is he's always kind of had a sidekick over there. You know what I'm saying? Like we've had the Malik Jacksons. We had what's that do for the Ravens? We had dang, off the top of my tongue. What's the dude from Ravens we had that Super Bowl year?
Oh
man,
the Super Bowl year they had I can't even think of
the name right now.
Yeah, I'm coming up
with
lost too right now.
But you know what I'm saying? Like he's always had a sidekick that was pretty good there on the other side of him. You know what I'm saying? So
they had Bo Allen for a little while, but I think he left because Bo used to play
there you go.
Alcabar.
What up, Alcabar? The analyst in the building. What's up? The goat, the reaction goat in the building. He said, Jenkins. Yeah, that's what we had. Jenkins. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he had Jenkins. He had Malik Jackson. Now he got Hargrave. Hargrave gets double teamed too, and he still makes plays, even though Hargrave hasn't had a sack in 2 games now. He's kind of slowing down.
Hargrave. Yeah, they're doing more to take to up in their blocking with Hargrave. That's partially what's going on here. You got to be it's one of those things too. The other thing is that it's hard to get pressure if quarterbacks can take a step and throw the ball. Because I did see Hargrave get pressure last week when it was harder for quarterbacks to do that. So if you give us, 6, 7, 8 yard cushion, quarterbacks don't, they just look over, they see where the cushion is, and they get the ball out of their hands. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the problem is that it's hard to get pressure. The secondary has to match the defensive line. If they're out of sync, it's a problem. And that's Jernigan. Timmy Jernigan. Yeah, you guys are getting it.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah,
Timmy Jernigan, and they had Bo Allen too.
Yeah.
In 17. They had a really good defensive tackle rotation in 17, honestly. Bo Allen was, to this day, I take him as a nose. He's just purely playing as a nose. He's a good nose.
Yeah.
And they're looking for a nose. They want a nose tackle. They wanted Aleem McNeil, speaking of NC State. Incredible football player, but he's on a really bad Detroit team. So I don't know how he would have fared in Philly. But Milton Williams, they got their explosive 3 technique, the guy that they can play as a 5 and a 3. I still think Milton probably makes more sense outside on running downs and then inside on passing downs.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I mean, I thought he held up better against the run last week. I thought Milton took some steps forward. You know?
I think he's gonna be like that second year player with him. You know, when he get another off season, he can bulk up his body a little bit more, get a little bit bigger. He'd be a little bit more physical for next year.
Yeah.
But as the season's going on, I think he's starting to get a little bit better too. You know what I'm saying? Like, which three rookies have impressed you the most so far since the season started?
Have impressed me the most?
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, those two guys have just been really, really good. Tyron Jackson would be my third. Tyron Jackson, Milton Williams, I tie him for third. Milton Williams is, I think, still outperformed Tyron Jackson, but he should as a third-round pick, and he should because he's had a lot more opportunities and snaps. Tyron Jackson has made a lot of his opportunities when he's got in there. He's played really well. And I think that those four guys in particular have played really well. Outside of that, you know what I mean? Like, those other guys really haven't had a lot of playing time. Patrick Johnson.
What's the corner? McPherson. He hasn't really had that much work done to him this year. Like, he's been playing some good coverage when he has been in the game. I don't remember his exact stats, but I remember there were some good numbers there.
I think he's only taken. He's been under 20 total snaps. He hasn't really played too much. Gainwell would be the other guy. He was a fifth-round pick. Gainwell's had moments in the games. Gainwell's a really good receiving back. He's got a role in a 2-minute offense. Can they expand upon that? Probably. I don't know if they will this season, but I would argue that he's a kind of an answer to if you struggle in the passing game. Give him a look, give him an opportunity, give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think we need to do? Let him see what he can do.
What do you think we need to do at safety?
That's tough, man. You got an aging secondary. That's the thing is that Rodney McLeod, who's Rodney McLeod is one of my favorites on this team, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't. He's 31. He's 2 ACLs. You know what I mean? Like, there comes a time where it's like you got to part with those guys before too long. Then I look at Anthony Harris. I think Anthony Harris is better than what some people are saying, but he hasn't been what anyone expected in the same breath. So I don't know if that's a guy that you bring back. To be honest with you, I think you could live without him. Marcus Epps has been fairly good. I think Marcus Epps is kind of I thought he was more of a fourth safety. He's shown the ability to really be a third.
No.
I think he could be a pretty good third safety.
He makes plays. And he lays
Wallace. Yeah, Kayvon Wallace, we need more of. We just haven't had, the injuries and, I thought he looked good in games, but he hasn't been in a lot of games. So hard to say, you know what I mean? I still think that you probably need to go get a safety. I think the Eagles need to draft a safety.
Stevens? He's saying.
More of a box player. They converted him to linebacker. He's more of a box player. He's not really a roving type free safety. He doesn't really have that kind of speed. He's instinctful. He's got good instincts. I don't think that they see him. Maybe if you play a little big nickel, he could be kind of a guy that rolls into the box and, you use for that presence, lines up on tight ends maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get, you don't really know until you give a guy a shot. That's the thing.
So we hadn't even seen him. He hadn't even been out there at all. Like, only practice squad the whole year, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think they need safety. Yeah. They need a safety. Yeah.
I thought he might have been a good safety.
I say, get the dude from Notre Dame. We're going to have to get up high in the draft, man. I think he's going in the first 5 picks. I think it's a really good possibility.
5 picks for a safety?
I think so. He's that kind of an impact player.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. For
I mean, look,
top 5.
If that kid slips out of the top 10, the Eagles should be all in.
Facts.
Yeah.
Hamilton?
Yeah, he's
Hamilton's a beast.
Player, man.
Like, it'd be such a dream draft if we can get Hamilton and Dean from Georgia to throw into that defense. That'd be nice.
Man. If someone like that slips outside the top 10, you got to go get him. You do. I mean, he could be such an impact player on your team. I would definitely spend. I don't think the Eagles will, but I would. I mean, personally, I think that you look at the role that the linebackers and safeties are going to play in this defense. You got to have at least one stud at both levels there. If Rodney McLeod was 28, you could probably get away with it for a few more years. He's not. He's 31. You know what I mean? Like, Harris is about 28, 29, but I just don't think he's been the impact player we were anticipating.
But you think maybe because he got hurt?
Sorry, say that again.
I think maybe because he got hurt earlier in the season.
Possibly. I mean, it's possible, but
Because last
those
week he
things
played
are
some
always
pretty good football.
Yeah, those things are always hard to say, but we're going to need talent on the defensive side of the ball because there's a lot of contracts and a lot of older players that people, Fletcher Cox is probably good. There's more than a 50% chance he's not on the team in 2022. I don't think it's a guarantee. I think it's more of a 50-50 thing, but there's a chance. I look past Fletch and I say, Derek Barnett is probably gone. I mean, Brandon Graham might be back next year out of necessity, to be honest. And I love Brandon Graham. Stay as long as he likes, in my opinion. As long as the cost is ridiculous, let that man stay as long as he wants.
What about Lane?
Josh Sweat was a good young piece. But I mean, Josh Sweat, it's kind of those things where they need to use, if you're going to play Josh Sweat as a true 5 technique and not let him get the leverage to get around the corner, I think Gannon needs to do more stunts and twists on pass rushing downs. He's been doing it a little bit. I've seen progression in that way, but I think there needs to be more consistency there to get guys like Sweat and those guys home. But outside of that, man, you don't really have much. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a nose tackle that we have an experiment on. I thought he was a really good, Tui Pelotu. I thought he was a good draft pick. I knew he had the back injury, but he didn't look right in camp to me. So maybe it was the injury. Tui Pelotu, but that's the thing. He's coming out of the pack, man. You just can't trust the pack. I know
Tui
you're
was
a USC
a beast
guy.
at USC.
Yeah,
he was a straight beast.
He was. He was one heck of a hand fighter. That dude's initial pass rush move to swat the hands, he was tremendous. But you're always a little suspect when they're pack guys when it comes to the line play stuff. But there's been some guys that Penny Sewell looks okay. He was a pack guy. He looks pretty good. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens there. But I don't know that we have. Tyron Jackson looks like a good depth piece.
Battle from Alabama plays some good football too this year. Steven
Nelson's probably not back next year.
No.
Darius Slay is the highest paid player on the team, so I don't know what happens there. I mean, you could, I guess, just keep moving that contract down the road. I know that's everyone's favorite word, kicking it down the road. Eventually, the bill comes due. Eventually, you got to pay. I just look at the secondary. Then you got McLeod. You got, all those dudes, man. They're all, what I'm saying? Like, you really look at it's like 7-8 guys that you're probably going to have to replace. I mean, Wilson didn't even make it through the season. You know what I mean? That was one of the key signings. He was a younger guy.
Big disappointment.
Yeah.
Big disappointment. I actually thought he was going to do something this year. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was really going to do something for our defense this year. And the whole offseason, he's talking on that big game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The coach, we got him at middle linebacker. He's going to be that guy. And then he was just straight trash.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, I agree with you, man. He played beside the other kid that got drafted this year, that kid out of Utah. They're both really good players. That dude was – I think he went in the first round. The other kid – was it Utah he played at? He played out west somewhere. I remember that. The kid was one of those 250-pound guys that, just couldn't move for a dude that size. Yeah, I agree with you, man. But this guy's a little small. He's like 230, but he's got a little meanness to him. I agree with you. He looks like a good ball player to me too.
Which one is that?
That's the thing is, if you look at it, TJ Edwards. Look at the offense or defense. I'm sorry. If you really go over the pieces that are there, if you look at the D line, what do you have? You have Josh Sweat, Tyron Jackson. Then you have Hargrave, Marlon Tui Pelotu. That's pretty much it. That's under contract. You probably bring Brandon Graham back. Maybe Fletch is retained just out of necessity, but I think they want to move on.
Yeah.
Then you look at the secondary. Slay's the highest paid player on the team. He's 31. Steven Nelson's on a 1-year deal. You spent a 4th-round pick on Zach McPherson, and we brought in, Josiah Scott and all these other guys that are, 6th-round picks, 5th-round picks from other teams. We brought a lot of those guys in. Some of these guys probably have safety versatility, and maybe they plan on flexing them out to safety. But McLeod, Anthony Harris, they're all, you know what I mean? When you really break it down, who's really left on the team? That's That's an interesting one, man. I think that'd be a good topic for next week. Is that after we see this game and we see the defense play, like maybe analyze that. Like, what does the defense look like in 2022?
That's why I think it all should be
Yeah.
defense the first round. Because our offense is young, man. Like, all of our skill position players on offense is young. We got a nice young offensive line. I would, like I said, I would draft, if we could draft a first round, guard or tackle, I'll do that too. If we get all 3 picks, you know what I'm saying? I'll do that too. Just to certify and have a good backup in place, in case one of those young guys get hurt. But our whole offense is young. That's a bunch of young talent. Let those guys grow together. You know what I'm saying? Let them get better this year, next year, the year after. They're all on nice contracts. You ain't got to really worry about that, except for Lane Johnson. I seen Richie say something about Lane Johnson earlier. What do you think we're going to do with Lane Johnson? We think we're going to keep him around, try to restructure his contract, or, is it time to part ways with him too?
It's a complex question, man. I hate to say it because I'm not faulting a guy for having a mental health issue. I'm not. I've had anxiety issues myself, man. I mean, LB and I were both veterans. Like, it's hard to adjust, man. You guys know I know some of these guys in the chat. I talk to them all the time. They're vets too, man. It's a really tough adjustment from military life into civilian life. I know what anxiety feels like. I get it, but it is a mental health concern, and you have to be concerned about that from the long-term perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the physical ailments, the ankle. It's constantly kind of on the back of your mind. But then there's the player, and the player's a heck of a player, man. That's the problem, is that Lane Johnson is a really good football player.
Really good football player.
Good. They're not good when he's not in the lineup.
But
That's a tough decision, man. That's a tough decision, but it's coming eventually.
It's the same thing with Brooks. He's great when he plays, but he only plays like 3 games a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. Like, I love Lane, man. He's an all-time Eagles great. I'd love to see him here, but the contract's huge. He's got issues with the ankle that who knows the full extent of what's going on there because it's required multiple surgeries. And like he even admitted, man, he wasn't in a healthy spot mentally, and he's had to take care of himself. And I wish the guy the best, and I hope he gets that balance. Let's be honest, what that is. That's a work-life balance issue. That's what's going on here. It's be true. I hope he finds that, man. I hope he finds that balance, not just because he's an Eagle, just because that stuff matters in life. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuff matters.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to you, and I know you were probably like, man, is Gate will come today or what? Right. I had something that popped up in my life. Sometimes family just gotta take priority, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You gotta take priority. You gotta prioritize yourself a little bit. And I don't know, man, because like, what's the answer? Malott at right tackle, Dillard at left, cross-training Dillard to play right tackle, Malott at left.
I don't think Malott should play right tackle again.
Yeah.
Like they say he's at swing, but he was suspect over there. Really bad. I know he came off that injury or whatever, but he definitely doesn't look as good on the right as he does on the left.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's tough, but they got to figure out what they're going to do here because
Jack Starr, Driscoll.
Yeah.
Do you think Driscoll could be a starter?
Can play right tackle. He can, but Driscoll's a good football player, but he's not Lane Johnson,
Do you think he can get that way, though? He's gotten better from year 1 to year 2. Maybe year 3 he can be more of an elite type.
Or you just think he has a ceiling? Every guy deep down probably thinks that about themselves. I would imagine that every guy deep down probably feels that way. But who knows, man? Because I mean, look, I'm looking at the numbers because I saw Paul. Paul, what's up, buddy? I saw your post. He was like, it's expensive to move on from Lane Johnson. It's $19 million if it's pre-June 1st. If it's post-June 1st, which would be kicking the can down the road. If it's post-June 1st, it's going to be you're still losing $12 million. So unless you do an Alshon Jeffrey and Malik Jackson like move at the end of the season to rework some of their base salary into bonus money, kick it down the road, and then cut it, then you might be able to pull something off there. It's still going to cost you. I don't think you can make up the difference in money because this base. But
that bonus money is kind of helps them because it's like that don't actually count on the gap.
Yeah, well, see, the problem is you can't even really convert it into anything just because it's only 7 in base. So that's more of a 2023 move, not 2022. Yeah, Paul, you might have a point, man. You might have to take a severe financial hit if you do that to your cap. So you might have no choice, but so no matter what they think or feel, they might really have no choice but to say Lane will be here for at least one more year. There's no doubt. That's what it looks like contractually.
And I'm not pushing him out the door either. Like Lane's one of those older guys where I think, anything to help the offense line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got to keep one of them, especially if Kelsey leaves or Brooks leaves. Then you only got Lane Johnson to being that for sure guy. Like Mailata got paid like he's the guy, but he still has some room to grow. He still got to step it up and show that he is that elite tackle. You know what I'm saying? That might take another year before you actually see that fully blossom to the flower you want it to be.
So, Paul, if they move on in 2023, they assuming they take June 1st, cut or trade, it would be 8.6 mil or so for 23, and then you'd have the following year, 2024, they would get hit with 9-10 mil the subsequent year. So that's what the dead money would look like if it's a year later.
What do you think about Brett Toth? That's so funny. You're so funny, Grant.
Hey, you know what? I mean, look, Brett Toth was someone I didn't have any expectations for. I didn't really think the dude had a shot at the team, to be real with you. But then he came in and he looked good, man. I mean, speaks to Jeff Stoutland, man. I don't think he's a starter yet. I don't think he's anywhere near that. Good rotational piece is a guard tackle on the left side. You got Andre Dillard, though, and it's kind of like if you got Brett Toth and you have confidence in Brett Toth, why is Dillard still? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. They got some decisions to make on the roster. And not trading Dillard, I think, said something. There's got to be something here, I mean, from Dillard's spot, I don't think Dillard cares. Like, look, I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
Even if you keep me on a fifth-year option, I'm going to get paid for that fifth-year option. Guys miss a handful of games. I come in, I look good in those games. I might get me a big V-type contract. I think that's what him and his agent are thinking.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean,
yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more before we get out of here about the Saints game. So they should not have Alvin Kamara, right?
Yeah.
From what I hear.
Alvin Kamara, I think, he came back to practice limited today. So it looks like he's going to trend to play, but you never know. I mean, a setback could happen.
Thomas, no quarterback Winston. Like, we should really win this game, right? Are you expecting to win?
I don't know if I'd say expect to win, but I think that this is a 50-50 game.
50-50?
I think it's a 50-50 game here. I don't think that they have a ton offensively that we need to fear outside of Kamara. So, I mean, I'm not overly scared of their offense. Their defense is pretty good. It's a matter of when you get a team like this, can you get an early lead and put them down? Don't let them stick around. Don't let, Simeon try to pull off some magical play. Can you put them away? Because if you put this team away like you did Denver early, I think it's all over. But, this defense is better than Denver. It is. Denver had a good defense. Denver was no slouch. This is a really, really good defense we're going up against.
But the
I still have the Birds. I still think the Birds are going to win, And I'm not, I mean, look, I know Saints fans are going to say, of course you say that. You're an Eagles fan. You're right. Go to any game. Go to any year I've done the live streams. I pick the Eagles every time. Newsflash. I'm an Eagles fan.
I do every week. Birds by 10, Birds by 3, Birds by 15. Depending on what team it is. But
what's up, Bobby Murphy? How you doing, man?
I do think that it should be more of an easier game because yes, their defense is better, but I think as long as we're running that ball, like our line's playing good, like we can run the ball on anybody. Because those guys are just big men that move people. You know what I'm saying? So I think as long as we can get in there and get that, especially if we get the lead early, and plus if you listen to the narrative that Gannon blitzes, lower quality quarterbacks as opposed to the top flight quarterbacks, I'm pretty positive he does not think Trevor Simeon's a top flight quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So I think we get to him a lot and we get to him early, especially like I always say every week, you cut off the head off the snake. The rest of those boys ain't doing nothing. They don't even have any star receivers. I think we should be able to play some man this game and not really worry about it. I think Slade should be able to lock up any receiver they got on their team. And then whoever's the second best receiver, Nelson should be able to lock him up, and then our boy Maddox definitely can handle the slot. You know, he's been doing it good all year long, so this could be more of a man game with a lot of pressure, I believe, going into there. But what do you think the score is going to be? Give me your score prediction.
You're being very
Hello?
way offensive. 27-16 Philly.
Oh yeah, you cut out for a second. What'd you say? What's going on here? Is that mine? Are you there, Gate? Looks like Gates having some technical difficulties on his end. Sorry about that, guys. Everybody in the chat, we got 57 in the chat. Please like and subscribe to all channels. All links are on every channel, so make sure you click all three of those links no matter where you're at. BIRDGANG 31, Gate City, and BGN Sports Media. We're bringing that fire from the Eagles content, and we also bring fire on the media from the whole NFL. So any team that you have, you can go on there. You can find some good content creators talking about your team. Until Gate comes back here. He got cut out. I want everybody in the chat, all 57 of you guys, please drop down score prediction and game prediction for this week's game against the Saints. Like I said, I think he said 27-16. I'm gonna go 31-17. 31-17 Eagles. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think they can score 17 points. I'm going to say 31-14 Eagles is my score prediction. So everybody, let's see your score predictions drop in there, you know, and like on all three channels if you can do that for us while we're waiting for Gate to get back here. Drake, the third or fourth round and Bruce is coming out of retirement. That would suck. What up, Bobby Murphy? How you doing, my guy? There's going to be a lot of coaching staffs and players. Yeah. Yeah, Herbert is a great run blocker, man. I love Herbert. He's a hog, exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. You know, that's what I really think he should be playing over Driscoll there. Because Driscoll's a good player, like we talked about, but I think he's more of a tackle. And Herbert got that body strike, that hog body type to be that guard. So I definitely want to see Herbert play some more football. But maybe we might have to wait till next year. Who knows? We might have to do that. Grant, that's a great question. As soon as Steve gets back in here, we will have him answer that one for you there, buddy. Preferring off the rookie contract like Mike Williams. I like Mike Williams. That'd be tight. Mike Williams would be a great pickup for the Eagles. He's a very good receiver, and I don't think they're going to pay him and Keenan Allen both. So that could be a pickup in free agency we can definitely scoop up. Having Kamara, Michael Thomas offer 6 and little weapons that tight end, the average quarterback expect a low scoring 23-20 type of game from the Eagles. Oh, okay, I can deal with that. I don't know if they're going to score that many points. That's just things. If they don't have Kamara, they don't have Thomas, I just don't see them scoring that many points unless they score some touchdowns on defense. Like I said, 14 points. To me, that's even a stretch if our defense is playing the way they've been playing last week and whatnot. So if Gannon attacks and does what he's supposed to do, I believe it should be a very easy to win and get our first home win. That's what I'm talking about. First home win. The Eagles need it. You know what I'm saying? All these road wins are cool, but you got to, give back to all the fans and go pay that good money in Philadelphia to watch the Birds play. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get that home win. It's Aaron Brooks after that. Aaron Brooks, that was funny. We got the score prediction. Richie says 28-17. I like it, Richie. That's more, like I said, like I was scoring 31-17 at first, but I really don't think that they're going to put up 17 points against us. I could be wrong, but on my end, I don't think that's going to be possible. He says Saints front 7 is very difficult to run against. Eagles will have to be able to pass a little to win Sunday. But I think you just keep trying. You know what I'm saying? Like, Eagles always had that offensive line when they're all healthy. It don't matter how good the front, 7 are. They still able to run the ball, and we got some pretty good running backs back there. So I think you just keep trying, like that whole first quarter, just keep pounding the ball away. You know what I'm saying? Just pounding. That will open up the pass game later on in the game, like teams did to us all first 5, 6 games of the season. I think if you can do that, then you're getting somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when the scoreboard will kind of, take it. But if Jalen can go down and score a touchdown early, like I said, I don't see Simeon being a threat. If we score early, get on the board, jump on them real fast, then they're going to have to pass the ball. And I think that's when we take over the game. He said Simeon's no head of anything. I'm with you, Drew. I understand, Drew, that it's just, it's just analysis. You got to give him some credit. You know what I'm saying? If you think about that offense, though, he is the only one that can get the ball to those guys. So, yeah, I'm not worried about Simeon. I think we got this game, getting that first home game, and we should be getting it pretty easily there. Yeah, he's breaking up. We're waiting for him to come back. We're chilling. I'm just going to hit this chat up until he gets back up in here. The big target, Speedster Thomas, the demon in the open field. Yeah. Callaway is kind of a big target. He does do pretty good, but I really think that Big Play Slay and these defensive backs we got can really take care of these guys. You know what I'm saying? They're not nothing too special. They've already went against better. I don't see why they would struggle against these guys. So, top 3 of 4 picks defense after that. Yeah. Have a party. Yeah, exactly. As many defensive players we can to reload. These old guys got to get out of there on the defensive side of the ball. And we definitely need to get as many defensive picks as possible going into this next draft there. So I agree 100%. Like I said, I don't really think, like, maybe if we got a first round lineman, but if there's a good lineman, that we can get next year too. I mean, in the second or third round too, then I still think, the first 3-4 picks, straight defense, loaded up. Yeah, he left, Brand. I know I'm a little behind here. This offensive line, no joke either. I got Gannon will have to bring the heat. Yeah, he needs to bring the heat all game, but he likes to bring the heat. You know what I'm saying? When there's a lower quality quarterback over there. So, I think he's going to bring that heat. He's going to bring that fire, and he's going to bring it often. Okay, it wasn't me. Good.
Sorry, man. My computer decided to just shut down on me.
It happens, my guy. It happens. I would say probably my last 3 live streams, in the middle of it, my thing just went and it went down. So you're all good. I was just answering some questions and going over some comments in the chat.
I was like, man.
Harris. But what was your score prediction again, you said?
I said 27-16 Philly.
27-16. Yeah. Hey, that's a good one too. I think Richie said 28-17. And then 20 Vision said 35-17. I got 31-14 because I don't think they're going to score that many points for Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, I agree. Simeon's a hard one to count for, right? Just because I don't buy in him being like a legitimate NFL quarterback. I think he's a good backup, but I don't buy into him being someone you got to really worry about. So it's really about you keep him from getting on one of those crazy streaks. If you can limit that kind of thing from happening, I think we'll be perfectly fine. Like,
it's at 24-17, 21-17. So basically, everybody thinks they're going to score 17 points, and we're going to score 20-something points for the most part here. 21-10. Max holds heavy. Oh, Nina comes in with a 34-20 Birds. I like it. Eric says 35-21. That is one player on defense, Cam. Cam Jordan's a beast. You can't deny that one. He's definitely a straight beast. But yeah, Gabe, we're about an hour and a half. We went a little bit over this time. Any last final thoughts you want to talk about this game this coming up week?
Look, I think that we have a chance here to be, to set ourselves up really well to be 5-6 heading into a pretty easy setup for the rest of the season. I'm not going to say we're going to win every game from here, but there's a really good shot to make a push for the playoffs if we can win this football game. Find a way to win the football game. I think you're more than in the conversation for the playoffs. So, I mean, we'll see, man. We all came in here, most of us, I won't say all of us, but most of us came in here saying that this is just kind of a wait it out and see what kind of happens. Let's judge the development of the players. That's kind of my attitude, man. We'll see. If we can make the playoffs, it'll be exciting. But
what was your score? Your record prediction before the season started?
I started off with 6 wins, and then they made the Steven Nelson signing, and I was like, all right, I could see 7 to 9 wins. I give it a 1 to 3 game span there, just 3 games being if things went perfectly right, a 1 game being the more likely to where you win 7 games, 8 games, 1 or 2 games. I still think that I'm pretty close to that. I mean, I don't know that we're going to win out for the rest of the season, but I definitely think that we're going to be in a 7 to 9 win range. I definitely think that.
Yeah. I think before the season, like I said, I was like 13. I was drinking all the Kool-Aid. I was like 13-4 or 12-5, but I always had the floor being 10-7. I just didn't believe with the talent we had on our roster, you should lose, more than 7 games, unless the coaching staff was really trash. And they showed that they were trash early, but they've all been picking it up the last couple of games. So I'm sticking with my floor right now, 10-7. You know what I'm saying? I can see maybe one more loss, to one of these teams. I'm not even sure which one. As long as it's not either one of the 3 New York games, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? If we get one with the Saints, or it's the Cowboy game at the end of the season, one of those teams throughout this span, I think we might lose. But, other than that, I still feel like we can definitely get this, 10-7, wild card at least, maybe, because everybody's forgetting that the Cowboys usually go down this time of season, and they got a couple of pretty hard opponents coming up, Kansas City, Minnesota, and teams like that. If they go on a losing streak, we still could. It's theoretically possible to still have a shot at the division crown this year. So, I'm not going to say division champs, but I will say playoffs. I feel like we should make the playoffs, and we should still go at least 10-7 the rest of the way with the schedule looking the way it does. So, my final thoughts on the game this week, I think we finally get our first home game. You know what I'm saying? I think JG's going to put that pressure on Trevor Siemian, and it's going to be good for us. And we're going to get this home game. We're going to start a nice little winning streak here, this being the first time we're going back-to-back wins. Then it's going to be 3, 4, and so on and on. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I really think this game or the Cowboy game are really the only 2 games left on the schedule. I'm not buying New York. I think we should be able to sweep those guys. Even though it's division, I think it's a possibility we should sweep those. And I thought maybe the Washington football team, we could split with those guys. But after they lost Chase and they lost Montez Sweat, both of those guys being gone, I don't think the defense will be able to hold up by then. So I think we can sweep those guys as well. Just looking like a bright end of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody gets on the hype train early. All them first games don't really even matter. Nobody really have tape on you. You get lucky going to win streak. It's what you can do in November and December. You know what I'm saying? We all knew those first 6 games going to be hard. We were hoping for 3-3. We ended up 2-4, so we're only 1 game off of that little prediction. I think from here on out, like we all knew, it's going to get a lot easier for us. I think we have the second easiest schedule left, going forward. So I look for big things for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think it continues this week against the New Orleans Saints. Much love to all you guys in the chat right now. We're still rocking 50. Like and subscribe. Hit all the notification bells for all the channels, the network channel, Gate City's channel, and BIRDGANG 31's channel. And much love to you guys. I don't know how you end your show, but on my show, I always go, fly, Eagles, fly.
Appreciate y'all tuning in, guys. Thank you so much, man. Love being here, guys. I'm excited to do this every Wednesday with my guy here. And yeah, guys, fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Peace.